As the war in Ukraine enters a darker and more dangerous phase, NATO allies are stepping up military support, pledging over $35 billion in aid this year alone. The commitment, announced by NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte at the Alliance's summit in The Hague, aims to compensate for Washington's slowdown in military deliveries under President Trump.
And together, allies have laid the foundations for a stronger, fairer and more lethal NATO. NATO leaders agreed on the Hague Defense Investment Plan. And this will fuel a quantum leap in our collective defense. They agreed to boost our defense industries, which will not only increase our security, but will also create jobs. And we have reaffirmed our unwavering support for Ukraine. All of this is crucial. It means that no matter the challenges we face, whether from Russia or terrorism, cyber attacks, sabotage or strategic competition, this alliance is and will remain ready, willing and able to defend every inch of Allied territory and ensure that our 1 billion people can continue to live in freedom and security.
Last year, Western allies gave just over $50 billion to Ukraine across the full year. This time, we're already at $35 billion by mid-year. Canada and European nations are leading the charge, while the US has only offered limited military sales like spare parts for F-16s. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has been requesting Patriot missile systems to defend against relentless Russian strikes.
Зараз були дуже насичені тижні наших зустрічей в Європі, також в Канаді, на саміті Великої Сімки. Є домовленості щодо оборонних пакетів та спільного виробництва. Британія, Нідерланди, Канада, інші наші партнери. Є речі, які можемо зробити разом з Америкою. Багато домовленостей з Францією та Німеччиною. Все треба чітко реалізувати. І по спільному виробництву дронів та інвестиціям, і по іншим нашим проєктам далекобійності, в тому числі щодо ракет. Сьогодні ж є рішення максимально прискоритись у санкційному тиску на Росію.
Trump now says he might make some available, but insisted those systems are in high demand as they're being sent to Israel too. This hesitancy from Washington comes at a time when Russia is ramping up its ground offensive and missile barrage. Over 695,000 Russian troops are fighting inside Ukraine, with 52,000 more near Sumy in the northeast. According to Kiev, Russian forces launched around 200 assaults daily this week. The human cost continues to rise. A missile strike on a Kiev apartment block killed 23 people in a single attack. In Odessa, drones set a 4-story building ablaze, injuring firefighters in the rubble. A separate Russian drone strike in Dnipro killed 20 people and injured nearly 300. Zelenskyy says these attacks have no military value, only to terrorize civilians. The scale and frequency of the strikes show that Putin's ambition has not softened. Speaking at the St. Petersburg Economic Forum, the Russian president stated bluntly, "All of Ukraine is ours." He also hinted at ambitions beyond Ukraine, naming Belarus, Moldova, the Baltics, and even Kazakhstan as part of what he sees as a historic Russian domain.
Я уже много раз говорил, что считаю русский и украинский народ одним народом на самом деле. В этом смысле вся Украина наша.
Ukraine's foreign minister Andriy Sybiha condemned the statement, saying, "Wherever a Russian soldier steps, he brings only death and destruction." NATO's response hasn't just been symbolic. Germany, long reluctant to increase military spending, announced it will now spend 5% of GDP on defense by 2035, a move championed by Trump in his earlier term. That includes dual-use infrastructure, cybersecurity, and civil resilience, reflecting how wide-ranging the perceived threat from Russia has become. Meanwhile, Ukraine is not just relying on allies, it's becoming a military manufacturing hub. With the UK and Norway's help, Ukraine is now producing advanced surface drones, and British-made drones are being improved with real-time battlefield data. Zelensky's Build with Ukraine initiative aims to channel 0.25% of GDP from partner states directly into Ukraine's defense industry. The country has already deployed its SAP Masan missile capable of striking 500 kilometers deep into enemy territory, potentially halfway to Moscow. However, Ukraine's deeper political goals remain blocked. Hopes of joining the European Union have been dashed again after Slovakia vetoed progress in the European Council. The same country also blocked the EU's 18th sanctions package against Russian oil and gas, arguing that landlocked states like Slovakia and Hungary still depend on Moscow for energy. Slovak PM Robert Fico even floated the idea of withdrawing from NATO, claiming neutrality would serve the country better. That raised alarm bells in neighboring Austria, with officials warning Slovakia's exit could force Vienna to join NATO for its own security. Despite these setbacks, NATO Secretary-General Rutte reaffirmed Ukraine's long-term path to membership, stating, "The irreversible path of Ukraine into NATO is still there." But with growing political fragmentation in Europe and Trump's unpredictable stance in Washington, Ukraine's future hangs in a delicate balance, caught between global realignments, economic exhaustion, and a grinding war on its own soil.
The attacks on innocent civilians, on cities, on communities in Ukraine, without any military goal, I totally find abhorrent. We hold Russia fully responsible for this. It is against any rule, international rule. And anyway, this whole attack, starting in 2014 and the full-scale attack starting end of February 2022, is unprovoked, is totally by everybody in NATO seen as something we collectively have to fight back on, making sure that Ukraine has what it needs with our support to take that fight concretely from step to step and make sure that they can defend Ukrainian territory. This is the reason why I think also last year in Washington, NATO allies agreed that for Ukraine there is an irreversible path of Ukraine to enter NATO. And that is still true today, and it will still be true on Thursday after this summit.